Welcome to West Michigan Issues and Impact. I'm Al, this is Shannon, and we are very pleased today to bring to you Mr. Roger Safford, who's the Region Director of the Grand Region for the Michigan Department of Transportation. I think we have a whole host of things to discuss today, and Roger, we very much appreciate you joining us and viewers today.
Al, thanks very much. Glad to be here.
And we thought it'd be great just to have you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in the Grand Region, and maybe what you did before that, and maybe walk us through a typical day.
Well, thanks, Al. MDOT, of course, has a pretty solid presence in West Michigan. I try to, when I talk to people about my job, it's it ranges anything from construction of pretty complex freeway projects to overseeing a typical driveway permit where someone wants to just move a driveway off of a state trunk line, and all the things there in between. So it's a business that connects us with West Michigan's economy, which is very gratifying for me and my staff. We like to think that we're kind of the support for a lot of things that are moving around in West Michigan: people, goods, products, services. That if our state infrastructure is working well, then that helps to support the economy here in West Michigan. And so that's kind of our focus, providing what we can, supporting the economy here. And then I got about 122 people that work directly for me or indirectly for me, part of our organization here in West Michigan. They're your neighbors. They have kids that attend all of our schools. They're connected into the community, and so we enjoy some great relationships with our elected officials, our community leaders, and just happy to do what we can to support West Michigan's progress moving forward. Construction, maintenance, design, planning, but primarily operating the system that we have here to support the economy.
All right.
So the Grand Region covers what? Is it a geographic area that you work in here in West Michigan, or?
Shannon, right now it's an 8-county region, soon to be 13 counties because of the governor's regional prosperity initiative, tweaking the regional boundaries a little bit to better align state government to help foster regional economic development. So right now we go from Oceana County across to Mecosta County, and then down Ionia and Ottawa, so 8 counties in that area. We're going to be soon adding 3 counties to the north, Mason, Lake, and Osceola, and then 2 counties to the south, Allegan and Barry, for a total of 13 counties, matching our regional prosperity for regions for the Region 4 boundary. And so that'll be effective October 1. So okay. All of the interstate routes, all of the U.S. routes, all the M routes in that area, we oversee operations in those corridors.
Do you anticipate residents feeling a change from that?
We'd like to, we want to keep this as transparent and as invisible to our customers as possible. One of the things that we like to say is that there's no wrong door at MDOT. Anybody you call, anybody you talk to, step into any of our offices, you're going to get the same kind of positive customer service. Even if it doesn't happen to be in the primary service area, we're going to help you out. So we want this to be something that's seamless, invisible, low impact to our customers. But we want to make sure that they know who's the best person to call if they have a question or a concern or they need to do business with us. So that's been kind of our approach so far.
And you probably don't get a huge amount of walk-in traffic, but are you going to be moving facilities around, or pretty much leaving the same offices and all that?
We're leveraging all of our existing facilities,
okay.
Al. And when we When we did a major restructuring about a little over 15 years ago with our transportation service centers. That decentralization, that business model is still valid. We do not get as many walk-in customers as we did at that time because of, obviously the electronic age. And so we're able to provide customer service either going to where the customers are or connecting with them electronically. And so we find that where the facilities are is not so much a factor or an issue as what the customer needs, the information they need, the product, the service they need, and we can deliver that with the infrastructure that we have and with the staff that we have. So rebalancing some of those resources a little bit. And we also think there's an opportunity to provide services across some of those boundaries. My vision is no boundaries, seamless, again, transparent customer service, regardless of where you are, the idea, no wrong door.
That's great. So M231 is a big project in Ottawa County, and I think, we're just hearing more and more anticipation of it opening and just some of the efficiency that'll make for a whole lot of people that are traveling between Muskegon and M45 and other parts as well. And just wondered, what you can tell us about this.
Well, Al, we're pretty excited about this investment. It's been something we're working on, obviously, with Ottawa County and our regional stakeholders for many, many years. We've made really good progress over the last couple of years in the construction phase. Technically, the contract is scheduled to be completed next year, but we got a pretty good feeling that we're going to be able to open it later this year, early.
Wow.
So we're hoping for, if the weather holds out, sometime in the fall, we're going to be able to open up M231. And we've got, we got a big bridge we got to finish. And so we don't, again, weather permitting, and if the Grand River doesn't rise, too much, we hope to be able to deliver that to our customers sometime later this fall.
Wow, that's great news, from someone who goes up north and lives on that, right on that area. Boy, I can't wait for that inaugural drive that I'm going to have on that route.
Well, and what's pretty exciting to us is it's something that we've planned together with the community. We did, when you think about this, over 7 miles of new road, to be able to make that case, that kind of investment at a time, when funding for just preserving our system, is pretty limited. That really meant that this community, you think about Ottawa County and the growth that you're experiencing. It really was one of the only places in the state where a case could be made for that kind of investment, and we're just happy to be in a position to be part of that and deliver that to for residents of the county and the state.
Well, I grew up in Grand Haven Township, and so made many a trip on Beacon Boulevard, and I know that this was a hot issue in Ottawa County for at least 2 or 3 decades, prior to the commencement of the project. And I know that the county and the local governments are just very grateful for the investment and for what that will mean for our future as the fastest growing county. So we visited the site. You hosted a group of officials out there, I think it was late last year, and somebody made a comment about this being, was it the 7th or 8th longest bridge in the state?
It's going to hit our big bridge list
Wow.
as soon as it opens up, depending on how you measure it, either by length or by square foot of deck. It's going to be in the top 10, either the 6th or the 7th. I'm thinking 6 is a better number than 7, just because it's in West Michigan. But almost a mile long, and using, if you think about some of the materials that went into that structure, overall, about 13 miles of piling in all the bridges in 231, but that one in particular required a extensive foundation piling. We used a high-performance concrete for the deck. That deck is going to last not forever, but almost forever, the way that mix was put together. We had almost over 4 million pounds of reinforcing steel in the deck.
How many pounds?
Over 4 million pounds.
Wow.
of reinforcing steel. The concrete, just to mobilize and deliver the concrete to the site took an extensive amount of planning. You've got to deliver it to the floor and then pump it up, and all the while maintain the quality of the product. We had a great partnership between the contractors and the suppliers, and our concrete experts in our central office were just thrilled with the results. And I think when we open this thing up, people are just going to be really impressed with the quality of the construction. The other thing that I'm really excited about in terms of this project, Al, and that bridge in particular, is the opportunity that we created for a non-motorized crossing.
Yes.
And as you well know, that the demand for a new crossing of the Grand River, that's what drove the need for that project, but not just for cars and trucks, but also for non-motorized access. And so when we open that up, we're delighted to be able to also offer an opportunity for folks on bike or walking, jogging, to be able to cross the river as well in a modern, safe facility.
That's great.
So
And that's the Henry Plant Trail. Is that the name of the non-motorized route, I believe?
There's that one. Yes, there was legislation introduced, I believe, by Representative Price to name the non-motorized bridge after the Civil War hero.
First Medal of Honor winner from Ottawa County.
There we go.
Okay.
And so we're delighted to be part of that. And then of course, once off the bridge, then we're partnering with the county to make that part of the county system, and so it's all starting to come together.
It's a bridge to somewhere, because we've got the Spoonville Trail kind of lining up to hook in on the north side, and on the south side it'll hook into the Grand River Greenway. And so I think we're just very excited about having that crossing kind of mid-route. When you look at the Greenway going from Grand Haven to Grand Rapids, it'll be a great place to switch sides and experience other areas of the county.
Yes, absolutely.
So following the completion of the bridge, when can we expect the M231 construction to head towards the Zeeland area? Is that part of the plan in the future, or?
Well, originally, when
Okay.
we sat down with the community to look at this project, it was envisioned that there was a need to bypass US 31 from Holland, Zeeland, north to 96. We needed to prioritize
Okay.
that segment, and then and at the end of the day, we were only able to get approval to design and build the section that we're getting ready to open up. What we did, we understand that the long-term need is probably still there, okay? And so we were able to work with Federal Highway Administration during the later stages of the planning for the project to preserve the opportunity where we wouldn't have to start over, okay? Right now, because of our funding situation, the department, there's no commitment right now to do anything south of M45,
Okay.
and so I just need to kind of reaffirm that.
Right.
But we're in a good position to do some some smart planning
Right.
on the land use side to prepare for that eventuality. Because we were able to get into the document the draft alignment for the section south of M45, and so we can work a little more proactively with local governments, to help keep that as a priority for for the land use decision makers. And so it's all going to depend on state and federal funding for transportation, and then obviously this would be a priority that would have to be established statewide. It's a program it's a statewide program. As much as Al and I might agree that it's necessary, our friends and neighbors in our central office around the state would need to agree, and
Right.
and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, but the big question mark is always about funding.
Sure.
It's going to cost a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a great lead into the state ballot initiative. So, last summer we had the most successful state ballot initiative in state history with the personal property tax amendment. And then we had the transportation proposal. I know the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners supported it, as did many others across the state. And I think that with the realization that probably funding should have been fixed almost 20 years ago, I think we all viewed it as, in this world of the way politics work, where it's more polarized, and it's very difficult to get the state to all come together, both houses and the governor, on a proposal, that it just made sense that this was a time to get it done. And it didn't get done. It was, in fact, the biggest defeat in history for a ballot proposal. And we're just kind of curious, and I think viewers are too, what's your take on that? Why did it go down like it did, and what might we look for in the future?
Well, Al, I had a chance to participate in some town hall meetings with elected officials in West Michigan, trying to help voters understand the proposal, the elements of the proposal. And what I heard kind of in a resounding way as I engaged with folks is that there was some frustration that they couldn't just vote on the roads. It was all the other elements that for a lot of people, I think maybe they were confused or they didn't understand, they didn't support those, but by and large, this is my personal opinion, I don't think that it was a referendum on the importance of transportation funding. The message that we got loud and clear in those town halls is that there was support for transportation funding, increasing those investments, but it was just the way in which it was done in this proposal that the voters didn't understand. At least a lot of the folks that were coming to the meetings that I was attending and engaging with them on. So
I knew I was in trouble when I couldn't convince my dad to vote for it. So
I mean, it was a complicated package,
right,
and there was usually at least one or two folks in the front row that would just say, why can't this just be about transportation?
Right.
And then I would have to defer to the elected official in the room to try to explain that. But I think, so I don't think it was a referendum on that, and I think there is support. And so we'll just see what comes now in terms of a Plan B from the legislature.
I think this leads into something that Al and I talked about before, and when it comes to funding. We often hear people, and maybe you heard this in your town hall meetings, we hear people talk about toll roads. We visit other states, we drive to Chicago, and we travel on toll roads. Why don't we have toll roads in Michigan?
Good question, Shannon. It has come up during the debate. The states that do have tolled facilities, are able to leverage those toll collections into increased investments in transportation. Ohio is an example, Indiana. Sure. If you look at the map, those are states that are well positioned, to capture commercial traffic sort of passing through, you know, from the East Coast to the West Coast, you know, in the supply chain. Traditionally, Michigan, toll roads in Michigan has been a difficult conversation for a couple reasons. Number one, because we're a peninsula, we don't have those opportunities to sort of capture that traffic kind of just passing through. And so it's seen economically as something that would have a negative impact on agriculture, manufacturing. You know, the automobile was born here, and so a lot of parts and pieces in, you know, that supply chain originating in Michigan, that tolling was seen as, you know, something that would be a drag on the state's, you know, growing manufacturing economy at the time. And then agricultural products as well. I mean, we do a lot of internal shipping, and so again, it has kind of been a four-letter word, toll, in Michigan when it comes to transportation funding policy. If a state wants to do that, there's also policy implications with the federal government, because if you built the interstate system as a freeway.
Back when Eisenhower pumped all the money into the freeway system after World War II?
Right.
Okay.
Hence the term
hence
freeway.
the term freeway. I mean, okay, I paid for this once. It came from my tax dollars. Why do I need to pay for it now as a user? So it's difficult to have that conversation at times if you're going to be converting. Now, new facilities, that's a little different conversation. Sometimes it's easier to toll new facilities, especially if you can capture those, you know, in terms and make it into a public-private kind of partnership. The new international crossing in the Detroit-Windsor Bridge will be a tolled facility that will use the leverage of the tolls to help with the operation and the construction, pay off really the bonds that Canada is going to be looking to invest in.
Okay.
You know, for that new bridge. So it is a powerful way to provide for transportation investments. It just hasn't been a solution set that Michigan has been the best for Michigan so far.
So when motorists are on the Ohio Turnpike or 8090 or Pennsylvania Turnpike or Florida, basically those highways were built after the major highway construction of the Eisenhower era, and they were able to make them into toll roads because of that.
Right.
Okay, well and our roads are all basically the same as they were after that era, which is why we can't. I think that's great information. I can't tell you how many times over the last 2-3 decades I've heard different versions of that, and so this is great to have that cleared up.
Al and I will be educating the masses on that.
Yeah, that's right, at least the
Right.
West Michigan masses, hopefully, so.
The bridge to Canada, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
What's the progress on that? It's the Gordie Howe Bridge.
The Gordie Howe Bridge. What a great
name.
Wonderful. Right now, Canada, of course, has the lead. There was the historic agreement between Michigan and Canada 3 years ago provided the framework for that, for the construction of that bridge. I'm told that late 2020 is the plan to have that, you know, the ribbon cutting. Still late 2020. They're working right now to put together a proposal for an over. It's the term. I'm trying to recall the term. The overall entity that would oversee the design, construction, operation of the bridge. There is an authority that's been established, the Detroit-Windsor Bridge Authority, and so they're working right now to put together that package for an entity to come in and propose really a plan to do that.
Oh.
So it's going to be a public-private partnership. On MDOT's part, we're involved in the land acquisition necessary on the U.S. side, but again, at no cost to Michigan taxpayers. It's all being funded by Canada. It's Canada's #1 strategic investment priority at this time, and so we're happy to be involved and to be partnering with them on the Gordie Howe Bridge.
That's great.
That's great. I think one of the hallmarks of the Snyder administration, certainly as somebody who's been around local government management for a long time, has been the accessibility of top officials to local governments. I mean, a lot of you guys were just names on a letterhead to us for a long time, but I think especially since Governor Snyder's been in office, I know MDOT Director Kirk Steidl is very available and accessible to officials and the public, and I know you've been, and even just the other state department heads as well. And I just have to say how refreshing that is, to be able to work on problems and come to good solutions with you and others, and we really appreciate that approach.
Well, I appreciate that. It's been a priority for Governor Snyder and our director. The governor talks about, the state government can't. Our job is not to create jobs, but to create the environment by which the private sector can do what they do best, and that's create and maintain, our Michigan's now growing economy. And customer service has been something that's been very important to our department director. We talked about the no wrong door theme that we're re-emphasizing with our transportation service managers. We want to get to yes as much as we can in working with local governments and our stakeholders and customers. We know we touch every resident of the state in some way, shape, or form as if they're trying to move around products, services. And so we know those relationships are important to us in our accessibility. So I don't see that changing. I see us even redoubling our efforts to try to stay engaged in our communities. Find out what's important. Funding's limited, so we can't do everything, but let's work together to decide what's most important.
And I think it's just been a refreshing approach. When I think of some of the issues Grand Haven and the mayor of Grand Haven had with the bypass as it relates to Beacon Boulevard and some of the changes there, I think MDOT basically putting those plans on hold for a while to see what would actually happen once the bypass is open. I know that was met with great appreciation by Grand Haven and Roger Bergman, our commissioner who represents Grand Haven. And well, we are out of time. This has been a great conversation. Thank you, Roger, for being with us today. We very much appreciate it. And also would like to thank our viewers for tuning into this edition of West Michigan Issues and Impact, and we will look forward to seeing you the next time.